Hi, my name is Fernando and I'm the CTO here at Freshout, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story of our engineering department and a little bit about our processes and how we got here. In the beginning, like several years ago, we were a big team of developers. We were trying to build products, we were an agency, and we were handling different types of products, mostly for our customers, and we were trying to transition into a company-based product. At that point of time, we were actually, we were noobs, you could say, on the engineering process, and we had pretty complex problems. Software that was supposed to do cool stuff, and we were struggling a lot to deliver the software. When we managed to deliver the software, which actually we did a lot, we had problems in the process. We had delays, we had bugs, and we basically struggle, like most companies do these days, to actually deliver high quality products. At the same time, we were trying to build Breezy, which is our first product that we actually built, which now it is probably best known as EmpowerKit, and this was our first product. The idea of this product was a pretty complex product, so we were trying to build this huge complex product at the same time we were trying to be an agency. We had a huge team, around 30, 40 engineers on the company, and it was like huge battleground, going things around like here and there, bugs, meetings, and generally, yeah, we were like a super young startup. It was hard, it was fun, but we were not actually very good at actually producing software. After a couple of years, we noticed that we were having actually tons of problems, and we started a quest. So we were trying to produce less bugs, and we struggled a lot with our testing department, even with our design department, about how to conciliate all the processes and the different stages of our product design. It was hard, super hard, and this quest was about to reduce that struggle process. So that was going to lead us into actually search for a new process that would lead us eventually to actually produce high quality software. This quest was hard, and we were flooded with ideas about agile processes, waterfalls, rationale, and all of these sea of processes that are supposed to help a company to actually improve in these processes. And we started to do a lot of research on all of these areas. Why do we need processes, or why actually anyone needs a process at all? Before I mentioned that we were struggling to actually deliver software, and it's not just delivering software. All industries have problems, and we also were struggling with a lot of problems on the complexity level that we were trying to hit. And it was hard. So we found out that processes was helping other industries too, and also our industry, which is like software developers using processes to actually deliver high quality products. So what we did is, on this quest, try to find these causes of problems. And we found a lot of on the industry, a lot of that. It was like most of the money on the industry gets lost because software is actually never finished. It never sees like the day of light. The other thing is that even in the cases when software gets delivered, it has huge amount of problems. And what happens with that is that that software eventually dies. So in the end, struggling so much and putting so much effort doesn't really matter, because your software will be doomed. So what can we do about it? There are tons of methodologies, and we actually tried them all, one by one, and started getting what core ideas from these methodologies actually helped us in some of the areas we were having problems with. So we also tried a bunch of tools, because for these methodologies now there are tools that will help you to follow the methodology through, and we also tried to understand the ideas behind this software and the methodologies that we're trying to support. In the end, we ended up mixing several of these ideas and created our own process. So what I'm going to tell you now is like, what's this process look like? It's actually a process not that different from what you might understand, but actually is not one of the popular processes, and I'm going to tell you what it's all about. So this process that we ended up with was created with the intention to be the core process that we were going to follow. We call it X workflow. So this X workflow process started with some core ideas. Which core ideas we started putting into this bucket of ideas to finally create this process? The ideas was based on the scientific method, which is kind of weird. But it all started because I was keeping a journal, and some of our other people started keeping a journal about their work. What things worked, what things did not work, what was the thinking process behind the decisions that they started making. So we discovered that these people started actually reducing the number of problems they were producing. So the first clue was like, oh, it must be the journal. And in the end, we found out that it was not the journal. It was the externalization process that was actually helping people have better ideas or express them better. So the first idea is externalization. Externalization helps you get to a clear state of mind and also leaves a tracking of how do you get to that decision that you ended up making. So that was really important. The next part is planning. Lots and lots of planning. We did experiments with different amount of planning, and in the end, we discovered that around 80% of the time, we were actually doing planning. So you could say in some sense that we kind of stopped being software developers, and we started shifting a little bit towards planners. In the end, we obviously had to actually write some code, but it was planning. So the second idea that is very important next workflow is planning. Other ideas that we put in the bucket was like a sequence of steps that would actually prevent you from making more errors. This was originated by studying the journals. So the journals had the points in time and bad decisions that we made. So we started is like, how do we prevent this thing in the future? How do we prevent this other error from happening? So we created like these logs in the process, in the steps, where you had to check. Also, the other key idea for this thing is prototyping. When you're trying to imagine, is like, can we do this software? How fast can we do it? It was like, well, I don't know. And that's generally the most common thing that somebody will have to say, but is generally afraid to state it that clearly. I don't know how to do it. But once you accept that and you say, I don't know, it's like, well, can you figure it out? So you create a prototype. So prototype is one of the other foundations. So if you mix externalizations, prototypes, and process logs that prevent you from actually making more errors, you end up with a huge amount of knowledge. So once you collected all this knowledge from your prototypes, your externalization, and all the data you've collected through the research process, then you need to pass this information to one of your peers. Or probably you're going to be the one who implements these ideas, and you need to remember what to do or how to actually implement these things. So what we ended up creating is a format to pass on these ideas, and this is what we call specs. So a spec is basically a document that specifies how you're going to actually implement the software that you've been planning all this time. So at the end of the implementation, the final idea, what you do is collect results. And this will help you understand what things you did correctly, what things you did wrong, and what future work you need to create to actually make the software better. So in the end, the core ideas guide us through the entire development process, but not only on the implementation part, which is where most of the methodologies focus on, So what we created is this cycle of full process for developing software that is not actually just considering the act of writing programs. We're actually tracking from the thinking all the way to the results of the final software that you ended up producing. So if you have all these tasks already defined and you clearly understand how to produce them, then you can put them all together into a calendar. These will externalize again the information to the entire company. What information is, what are you going to do every day from this day until the completion of the project? And that's a huge, huge advantage, because now you have an accurate plan that you can follow. So every morning when you go to your scrums, to your syncing meetings, you know exactly what you are supposed to do. And if you get delayed even by a little bit, you get the feedback the next day. So this is really, really, really important. And the final part, once you finish, you check it all with your testing and you collect all your results. And this gives you the proof that you actually produce what you were trying to produce in the first place. How do you actually know that? You compare that to your specification. So the specification in the end is the central, most important idea that will remain as the tracking part of your software development process. So with these problems being reduced and the quality of the software being predictable, we have a huge room to actually accomplish a new set of things. These things are amazing for us because now with the same number of people, we could actually maintain more products because we don't have to continually work on them, fixing them, and we can work on new product ideas. With the same amount of resources being predictable at a high quality level, we can accomplish more. In the end, if you are one of these people that are attracted to these ideas and you would like to follow a process, or you've been trying to find a way to work that would actually produce work more predictable, probably you should talk to us in a way. You could send us questions or whatever ideas you might have. In the end, what we're trying to build now is a highly efficient engineering team that can produce software repeatedly and follow these ideas through and move them forward to actually help us produce better software in less time that our customers love. And currently, our current customers actually love our products. We receive emails or tweets that people actually is happy using our products. In the end, the process or the problems that you face every day during your work don't matter much. What matters in the end is caring for the customer. So that's important to us, and we want to build an engineering team that actually puts our customers in the first place. And everything we do is around this core idea, serving our customers the best way we can. So if you've been thinking about similar ideas, or you like the ideas that we've been talking about today, send us your questions or your comments and let's meet and talk about them.